All right, so this is actually a pretty easy lesson. We're going to be talking about variation. Now, there's a few wording choices you need to be familiar with. Direct, inverse, joint, and combined. Those are 4 different kinds of variation. So direct and inverse are the 2 main ones. Joint is just a multiple direct, and a combined is a direct and an inverse. So if you know what direct means and inverse means, you're pretty good to go. So direct variation can be worded as y varies directly with or as x, or y is directly proportional to x. Inverse, y varies inversely with or as x, y is inversely proportional to x. Those are 2 main ones. Now joint variation, y varies jointly with or as x and z. That's just direct proportional to more than one thing. Could be 3 things, could be 27 things, doesn't matter. Now combined, it's whenever you shove a bunch of things together. Y varies directly with x and inversely with z. So we're doing both there. Or it could be y varies jointly with a and b and inversely with c. All kind of different things you could shove together. But if you know direct and inverse, you got the others down. Here's the basic equation. Now, before I begin with these, I'm going to talk about k. We use the letter k for the constant, thanks to the Germans. It's a constant and it's referred to as the constant of variation. So here, this letter k is actually not a variable. It's a number. It's a constant. So direct equation, y equals kx. That's it. Inverse variation, y equals k divided by x. All right. So that if we have a direct, y and x are both in the same numerator. If we have inverse, y and x, one's the numerator, one's the denominator. Whatever you're dealing with as, y varies directly or inversely in this case, that's going to be in your numerator, and the other one, whatever's your other variable, will be in the denominator. Joint, y varies jointly with x and z, so that's y equals k times x times z. So those are all multiplied together. Combination, well, directly goes in the numerator, inversely goes in the denominator. That's it. How do we solve these? Pretty simple. First things first, you write the general equation for the scenario. Now in these I use y and x, but it could be any letters. It could be a and b, it could be alpha and beta, it could be z and pi, who knows, who cares? Whatever the problem is, that's what we're dealing with. After you write down your general equation, it's gonna look something like one of these. Then you're gonna plug in the information they give you and solve for k. So they're gonna give you y is this when x is this, and then they're gonna ask you something else after that. So use that first information they give you to find out what the k value is. After you find out what k is, you plug it into this general equation you wrote at the beginning. Then you're gonna evaluate that new equation with the information they tell you in the other part. So evaluate the new equation for information requested if needed. Sometimes they just want the equation. A lot of times, though, they're going to ask you to find a particular value given some condition. So we're going to look at these 2 examples. A lot of times they're word problems. So I'm going to do 1 word problem and 1 non-word problem in this lesson video. Again, we're going to be using Google Docs since there's no graphing. Let me move myself out of the way here. Okay. So just like on the last lesson, we're using Google Docs. So you know where your equation tool is. If you don't, insert equation. Then you have your equation toolbar. I don't actually need it for this one because it's direct variation. I like to have it anyway. So y is directly proportional to x. So y is an equal sign, directly proportional. That means k times x. So you don't have to write the times, but if it's directly proportional, it's times. If it's inversely proportional, it's divided by. So I just emphasized it there. But here's how it would look. Y equals kx. That's the basic general equation, step 1 done. Then read what it says. And y equals 28 when x is 7. See, it gives us x and y, gives us all our variables. So we need to use that to find our constant. So y is 28 when, I don't know what k is, but x is 7. So k times 7, I can rewrite that as 7k. All right. Oh, wow. I can solve that like in 2 seconds for k. 4 equals k. Just divide both sides by 7. Now, I'm going to take this 4 I just found and plug it back into this general equation here. Let me skip a space just because y equals 4x. So now this equation is for this particular problem. because I found out what my constant variation was. It says find x when y is 52. So now I'm going to plug in 52 for y and solve for x. Well, that's easy enough too. Divide by 4, you get 1 and a 3. 13 is equal to x. That's it. Let's look at the next one. It's a word problem, so some people might not like it. It's a little trickier for some. Again, you don't have to use x and y, so I'm going to use whatever variables make sense in this problem. The time it takes Adam to drive to Disney World varies inversely with his average rate of speed. So let me look. Time varies inversely, speed. So time, I'm going to use a t, varies inversely, so equals k divided by. So for that, I'm going to put a fraction. K over, and then his average rate of speed. So I'm going to call it S for speed. There's my general equation. Now, what does it tell me? Since I got a fraction, I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Copy paste is your friend. It takes Adam 10.8 hours. So I'm going to replace this t with a 10.8 at an average speed of 50 miles an hour. So I'm going to replace that S with a 50. And then where are you at? 50. And then to solve, of course, you can multiply both sides by 50, 500 plus 40, 540. 540 equals K. Use a calculator. Mode 1, 10.8 times 50. 540. Okay, now we're going to take this general equation here. Oops. Sorry. And I'm going to paste it right there. And I'm going to replace that K with 540. Now, let me read my problem. So this is my specific equation for this problem. I know my constant variation. Now I can plug in whatever they ask. How long would it take them at an average speed of 60 miles per hour? So I'm going to replace that S with a 60, and that's going to be another easy problem. 54 over 6 is 9. So T equals 9 hours. Since it is a word problem, I'm going to write an answer statement. It would take Adam 9 hours to drive to Disney World if his average speed was 60 miles per hour. And if you don't believe me, 540 divided by 60 is 9. Okay, I didn't make simple arithmetic area. That's it for the lesson, guys. On to some examples for me.